Are you a diver and you maybe even take photos or videos underwater? Then this live stream is for you. Because we believe that everyone who takes images underwater is already an ocean ambassador. And to make sure that you can do your job properly and inspire people out there to care for the ocean and eventually protect it, we collected your questions beforehand on social media, and we're going to ask those questions to creative professionals from the industry. And we are sending live from the world's largest water sports show here in Düsseldorf, the boat show, which is taking place from 18th to 26th of January. You're going to find us live in Hall 11 at the Pixel World workshop stage. Make sure you follow us on social media, on the Behind the Mask Facebook page and on the Behind the Mask YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications and most importantly, ask your questions down in the comments and maybe we will even be able to pick up your question and forward your question to our guest. And one more thing, by leaving us a comment, you already have a chance to win amazing prizes.
I want prizes.
Great, Here we are, 2 o'clock. I would say with one of the most professional all-round photography, professionals, Isabel Ahmad, with her dad, Imran Ahman.
Yeah.
Great. Isabel, how do you like Germany?
Speak into this, Isabel.
Speak in the microphone.
Take it.
Good.
You shy?
No.
It's okay, it's a microphone, that's it. You all right? Okay.
Let the agent of her speak. Imran, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to that for quite a while.
Thank you for having me.
And I think the most interesting thing about your photography is that it's brilliant in all different fields.
Oh, thank you.
How do you do that? Like we have people that focus on macro and wide angle and all kind of different things, but you seem to do everything like a Swiss Army knife.
That's a good one. Growing up, I knew that being Asian was one of it's a thing that, my Asian parents would tell me, you should be a doctor, you should be an engineer of some sort.
You're not a doctor?
Nah, none of that. I'm almost crazy as a scientist or mad scientist, but that's about it. But I knew that I couldn't do stuff like that because, I dropped out of school a couple of times, and I wanted to do something different. I wanted to have some fun. And being Asian, again, parents will tell you, no, you can't do it. But I just had to try different things. So when I took up photography, it was a love at first sight, I think. Because first you have to steal your parents' money.
Yep.
It's a very expensive hobby just to get it. And then buy a camera and then start doing things. But I knew that at that start that everybody who did photography was doing a specific angle. In Asia, wedding photography is huge. So everybody's doing photography for weddings. And I didn't want to do that because I said that would be the death of photography because all you do is sit, pose, and smile. It's very welcoming. So I wanted to challenge myself. And in doing that, that's how we picked up photography. And for me, learning other types of photography was the main challenge. So I started reading books on different aspects, but that was still not the underwater photography part of it.
This was not underwater?
No, not yet, because, when you're at 7, you can't get access to the pool unless your parents take you. But I've seen pictures at the back of the magazines when you have a haircut and you read these magazines and you see all this stuff going on. And I always knew that I would like to try this. And in order to get that, I need to learn how to do it. So magazines were one of that, and I would pick up any magazine and ask myself, how do you do it? So from then on, that style keeps on picking up. So today when I start shooting in the water, I ask myself, oh, that could be a shot like an automotive kind of style, slow shutter, get the lines in, put it off rule of third, or maybe get it into a fashion way where you get the eyes all sharp and everything's just flowing at the back in the water. Yeah. So that's how I think photography as an all-rounder kind of thing began for me. I just had to do everything in order to get to where I am.
But not following what your parents basically wanted.
Yes, that was the worst thing I ever done.
It's not a real Asian thing, I heard.
No. Ask any Asian parents, you got to be a doctor.
So you're not following your parents, you're also not following the normal photography.
Yeah. I was lost 3/4 of the time.
At least you follow the invitation. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we ask you to send us a few of your photos.
Yes.
so we can have a look and you can talk a little bit about what we actually see and what's the story behind. And at the
Yeah.
same time, because we have you here and you're just such an amazing source of knowledge, we're going to force you,
Boss.
Yeah.
or hope that you will follow a few of our questions that we collected in the community.
Sure.
These are real world questions. Like this is what, the goal is that everybody out there who is shooting photo, in your case, or video, is already an ocean ambassador. And these people also have questions.
And I always say, there's two ways of learning. It's either doing it or receiving those things. So this is a good thing that's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive right into it. What are we seeing here?
As a photographer, and I've dove very vast areas in Indonesia, in almost any part of the world. But what I want to bring out from this shot was that if you don't conserve what you see, if you don't protect, if you enjoy what you do, you have to understand that it is important for you to show the world that you care for it. And most of the times, I've seen places where I've been there 10 years ago, and I remembered it as supposed to be a very beautiful place, and only to be back all destroyed, destruction. So, now that I'm a father, I want to make sure that my kids would get to see what I see. And this was Mike's Point in Raja, and there's a site off Mike's Point, and it was devastated. So this is not the before and after, but with today's technology, today's techniques, we could put two and two together and get images that would inspire, or in most cases, if you don't, it will expire the moment. So this is one of the why we wanted to do the shots.
I think it's actually a pretty cool thing that your daughter is basically following your thing. Not just. This is another topic. Can you say something about the technique behind this? It doesn't look like a normal photo to people who don't know how you actually do photos like this.
Me working with Nikon and Cam a lot, it gives me the avenue to try a lot of equipment. So when this the 815 lens from Nikon first came out, I was very excited. Whereas I've heard people saying to me that if it's a circular shot, it's kind of boring. It's kind of hard for you to do it. But I think if you add a little bit of creativity and show it the way we want to do it, I think it's easy, because with the 815 lens at 8, it gets into a circular, so it represents the globe. So every time I go into that lens, I always think, well, either we go, we get it to a nice wide angle, or we go circular. And with the circular, we have to make sure that it tells you a story behind it. So in this case here, I wanted to show the hard corals, the colors, the details of it, and how beautiful it would be, and then show it next to to another picture with everything destroyed. Yeah.
Fisheye. Call it fisheye.
On the circular.
Circular and fisheye is two different things.
Yeah, it's two different things. But at 15 millimeters, 8 millimeters, you get shots like that.
Amazing. I don't know if I can say very nice.
Yeah.
Because the right side is definitely not very nice, but
I think it's always the message. Everybody could do great shots. I believe that it's a beautiful thing, but sometimes it's just the message behind it and how you want to explain your pictures.
It's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
No, it's a powerful statement just to see it next to each other like that.
Yeah, because everybody said, "Oh, you got to wait 10 years if you don't protect and you don't see it again." But now you can just put it next to it. Well, this would happen if you don't protect them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where did you mention where it was shot?
This is in Raja.
Okay. And you're from Singapore most of the time? Or you're originally from Singapore?
I'm Singaporean. She's Singaporean, but I live in Malaysia, so we work in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. So it's a triangle for me all the time.
Very, very, very hard to live in that place as an underwater photographer.
Yes. Where the work is, I go.
Okay, we switch between photos and questions.
Yeah.
Ken is asking, do you set up your camera for continuous shot for a best picture, or you just wait for the right moment to pull the trigger?
Oh, it's a two-train kind of thing. Sometimes I go continuous. It depends on what the action is. If you're looking for a feeding frenzy and you want to catch that at that right burst, then of course I will go continuous. But sometimes it's always nice to also wait and see how it is, because with animals, I think you have to feel them. If you approach them in a way where you're, intimidating, then they will shun away from it. If you take your time and let them be who they are, then it's it's easier to get closer. Sometimes my wife tells me like, how is this possible that when I approach a fish and they just give me the ass and then they go off, whereas with you it just stays right there, it's like they're hypnotized. I said, I've got some special magic words when I at them and then just stay there.
Can you say that like when you have fast-moving objects, you rather shoot continuously? And
Yes, like I said, if it's fast and you want that to capture that moment, then I probably set up for a continuous shot.
Okay, depending on the situation,
Yeah,
both things
it's
have
always.
a benefit.
I mean, photography is never a right or wrong situation. It's a matter of if it applies when it should apply.
Lemon
Oh, yeah.
shark and hammerhead, great hammerhead shark.
Yeah, I was in the Bahamas recently, and I thought it was really cool to work out where there's clear visibilities, and of course, the hard part was just trying to get myself to get into the water with the rest of the clients because everybody's in the shot. But yeah, so I always say when the divers get hungry, they go up, and that's when you get down. Because the sharks are, less people, more time to take pictures like that. Yeah.
Using a little bit of a flash, as I can see.
Yes,
Yeah.
a little bit of flash to get that red tinge out of it. Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Michael. Why is it better to shoot at a higher f-stop when shooting with wide-angle lenses? I have always heard it's better to stay above aperture 11, but sometimes I want a lower depth of field.
Well, you see, again, I've always said it's always by the book. Everybody's like, well, you got to go higher f-stop or lower f-stops. But at the end of the day, ask this question to yourself. What do you want out of your shots? Only you could determine how you want that final subject to play out. If you want it sharp, then you have it a certain way. Or if you want it, a little bit of a bokeh, and you have it a certain way. For me, it's always two situations. If the background's always too much, then I will probably try to get a little bit of bokeh going on and just to soften up the background instead of just getting everything sharp. So then you separate between the foreground and the backgrounds. Yeah.
So not, I mean, it's actually kind of hard to follow your advice. Because you always say like, okay, basically try everything out. I mean, this is what it's basically about, right? To play around.
Yeah, because I'm never stuck with the same kind of shots all the time. I'm always asking myself, well, that would look nicer if I try. Let's try this. Let's try a little bit of it, because it's never. I don't like that shot to be just always constant. Like if I shot a series of 15 images, I don't want to have the same setup. And then it looks very, this one looks like the one before and the next one. I want to have variation. So when I put it up, people was like, whoa, how does he do that? What was he thinking? I like to have a crowd that thinks and go like, well, we should have thought about that.
So you would say it's not a dangerous thing to say like, okay, I don't get stuck on this and I try to master one thing and then I master something else. You're saying like, okay, you just go through the board, you do everything, and everything, like every discipline will benefit from this kind of
I always say you
curiosity.
got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Somebody said, they would say on page 12 of a manual of a photo magazine or a book would say, you have to use this shutter speed to shoot that. Well, that's not the case. You could try anything. There's no right or wrong in photography. It's just preferences. So in my cases, being a little bit all-rounder is just preference. I think I like it this way, or I like it that way. Yeah.
Not following things. I think this is also a picture that falls in that category.
Yeah.
This looks kind of weird. I mean, not weird in a bad sense, but it looks like I would actually have no idea how you do something like this. What is behind this one?
There's a lot of things that I loved, and being in Asia, macro was a very big thing. And of course, doing that, I would like to be away from everybody, and I don't want to be classified like, well, it's just a macro shot. Like in this case, this is a hermit crab. But you would never see a hermit crab shot that way because your lenses that you use will always be the same. And I always say if you're using a 60 or 105, it's absolutely boring to me. Yeah, I'm using stuff which is in your camera bag, in this case, which is a reverse ring macro. Yeah. And then, what I did was I had a 105 lens and I flipped a 50 at the end of it, to give that a little bit of character to it. And to me, macro photography today should be not just only about magnification, but also character. in the shot, you need to make it look different because it's already special in its own way. But there is a possibility of changing the way we see things. So
I get the philosophy.
yeah.
I don't get the technique.
Ah.
I think you should go like one step back and it tells actually, like, you know, I get a 150 and a 50 and then I do like this and then
Again, this is again, everybody asks me, oh, but I tried it. It's not the right one. Then it's
okay,
not
reverse
this."
macro.
Yes, reverse macro is very famous. Is made famous by photographers, insect photography. And back in the days before the macro lenses was actually popular, they were using a reverse zoom lens. So instead of throwing the view from here to there, they bring the view back here. So it's a reversed.
You look from the different,
Yes,
from
so
the
you
other
flipped
side.
it. Yes,
Flip the whole
you
lens
flip the
around.
whole lens around, and you could get an easy reverse ring macro adapter from eBay for $5 or something like that.
That's it.
Yeah. So this was a bunch of friends who were doing insect photography, and one day I was just like, I was just hang out and see, and I said, wow. Why don't we try this underwater? And they said to me in the exact word, you have to be suicidal because you would have a headache and you can't control and everything else. And I said, yeah, that's fun. That sounds like a job that we should do and we should explore. So I took the opportunity to experiment with different lenses. And the truth about reverse ring is that you don't need a specific lens, like how the macros would be. You need a macro 105. With the reverse, you could use a zoom. You have a 24-70, flip it to the backward and see how it works.
How do you actually house it?
Well, that's a good question. So that reverse ring adapter that I said, it comes with a diameter. So you just, if you use a 24-70, it would be a 72 millimeter diameter. So you get a 72 diameter lens and adapter, and you can screw it to the body. But that's just the stage one, or should I say the starter kit for the reverse ring. Because that's what everybody's doing. They just take a 50 millimeter lens, they reversed it, and they shoot it. And yeah, it's fun. You get the magnification, but what I want is this blur moments, is that what I call it the selective focusing, where you want to focus on whatever it is, and then everything else behind goes with it. So, it's like I'm having a mime. It's really hard. Yeah, so with this guy here, I had a 105 macro, the one that you use all the while, and I have a female to male adapter, which is like say a 52 to a 52 with a reverse 50. And I screw it on the front and I put it up to a wide open at 1.8, and then I can control the apertures on the back. And this, because what I think is that the glass differences and the distance, this is what gives the character of the shot. You know, that soapy bokeh, that selective focusing, you know, that at the end of the day, what I wanted was very simple, the character of the shot. So if I were to put this on social media, which is very big today, everybody be like, oh man, he had to put that out. Because that would look different from a hermit crab. Everybody be on a dive, be like, whoa. And they'd be like, this is E.T. come home. You know, it's totally different, you know.
I
so
like
yeah.
it.
Impressing. Lydia is asking, when using a wide-angle lens, what is the best way to effectively light my subject or the inside of a rack?
Well, rags, overheads, situations, well, like you always have to understand the light in any situation. Was it too much, too little, and then from there you make your adjustments. In this cases, in the rack, I think the first thing to do, like we discussed earlier, was to turn down the flashes, yeah? Or, you know, turn that down and then see what other available lights. And of course, with today's cameras, you could easily work with the ISO to make it a little bit more natural instead of just having artificial light pumped in. But saying that, with artificial light or planted light, you could still get a very nice setup in the water.
Yeah.
Or maybe even detach the flash from the camera?
There you go.
Yeah.
With the slave to trigger it.
Yeah, I'm not super smart. Alex Mustard told us that last Saturday.
Yeah.
What's that? What is
great-
so special about the wall?
The Great Wall of China. You know, when I did this project...
Is it the Great Wall of China?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. I was there.
Somebody told me the viz is horrible.
The This is Well, if I spoke to somebody and he said to me, if you dove lakes and stuff, green water, this is perfect. This is home. Well, when I got dragged in by Blancpain to shoot a project, and they were asking, what should we do? And I said, well, a lot of people's been to the moon, you know. Why don't we find something and jump into the water? And we wanted to attract the Chinese market also. So what more better than just to find a place where nobody's been there and shoot it. So me and Dietmar Fuchs decided to go on this project and said, well, let's find some people who would enjoy taking us there. And sadly, it was a very big hush-hush. Everybody like, oh, we don't know that part of the wall, and you know, and it was really hard. So upon arrival, I realized, I said, wow, is this the condition of water that I have to work with? This is, this is nice, right? Yeah, I know. But this was me being lucky, because on this same dive, I remember Dietmar telling me, well, let's not bring the cameras, just go down and have fun and then survey. I said, no, hell no. You know, I'll take my chances, because you never know when it's going to happen. That's the thing with photography. So we got down, before we got down from 0 to about 30 meters.
How deep is it?
This is, I think, about 30 to 35 maybe already. And I did a shot of, at 9 o'clock in the morning, a before and after, I mean a split shot. So on top of it is this nice, beautiful Great Wall of China coming to the water, and then there's total darkness here. And I asked myself, well, at least if anybody asked me, he said, this is how we all started. So going down from 0 to about 25, 30 was a lot of holding on to each other and hoping not to lose each other. So it's as easy as turning and you disappear. So we started moving and moving, but for us, what was really good was that we were looking for a Chinese guide, but there was none available, or at least spoke English. So we had an American guy. So how cool is that? We had an American guy to lead us in, we had a German guy to pose for it, and a weird Asian guy who's got no dry suit, when these guys are all comfortable in a beautiful suits like that. Yeah, in 14 degrees of water.
Yikes.
So going down, going there, finding it, and as soon as we found the wall, in order to confirm it, we have to find we call it the watchtower. That's where the archers would actually shoot. If you find that, then you know that you're on the right part of the wall. So we get to that, we went in and caught out, and then at 35, suddenly that visibility just cleared. And I think it's the thermocline that happens in between. So that's in between space there. And I remember telling Dietmar, get in the pictures, like that's it, we're going to shoot this and have fun, you know. And like all photographers, I would swear by this, that you are so into taking the pictures of your subject, in an important situation, you totally forget to take a picture of yourself at a very historical part.
Yeah.
So me being at the first time at the Great Wall of China with 0 people, with just 1 or 2 guys, and I forgot to do that. So yeah, so this was one of the...
You could use Photoshop.
Huh?
You could use Photoshop to...
I would love to do that, but at that time of the day, when I went in, I was like, well, this is photoshopped already. And I remembered showing Dietmar in the water. I was like, look at you. And he started looking around me like, how are you doing this? Where is this? So yeah, so that was the only day out of the 3 days that we managed to get the shot and get out. And after that days, everything was just pitch black. We couldn't find it. We were just trying to, you know, and the weather starts blowing and everything else. And yeah, so it was a fun project, lucky, and I'm happy that people get to see them in the water. Yeah.
Well, good. Michael's asking, wait a second. I'm always told that for wide angle, the larger the dome, the better. but is it true? You have not shooting split shots?
Well, we do split shots. The wider, the better. We love it. But you know, today's FAA, aeroplane, customs, airport, they see you in a big bag, they be like, yeah, you, come here. And I guess for me, it's always easy to get something lightweight to move and to work with. So again, everything about how I work with in the water or out of water is understanding that there is always a two-way, but I would always try to weigh myself. Would that be a problem for me to have less weight, more weight, or would the airports be strict with the equipment?
The cenotes in Mexico.
Yeah.
Car wash.
You know, being in Asia, every one of us always dream like, oh, I wish I could be in the cenote, so I could be diving with the sharks in Mexico and everything else. Well, we don't have. But over the years that I've dove in Sulawesi, I've always tried to see how could I make some place closer to me as exclusive as the ones away from me. Yeah. So Manado being a second home to me, I said one day, well, let's go up to the mountains and see what's happening. And I had a dive guide, Roy Leggy, who said to me, I've got pictures of this place. Would you like to look at it? And he took it off of some compact camera, and I said to him, well, it's nice. And he said, are you kidding me? Pictures like this? I said, no, but I like what's going on here. So I decided to go up, take a look at it, and we shot it. And this is a place called Uluna. It's about 1 hour from Manado town. If you get in the morning, you go out there. Small place, water catchment with lots of lotus coming up. So yeah, changing the perspective of how people take pictures. You know, you don't have to go far sometimes. Just understanding what's in your playground. Yeah.
I guess I know the answer already for this one.
Yeah.
Is it necessary to use 2 strobes for macro photography? Do whatever you like.
Do whatever you like. For me, I started out loving the black background and catching the action, but again, now with more possibility with continuous lighting, you could also do more stuff instead of just freezing the action or a black background. Yeah. So with macros, especially when you work with reverse ring macro, you need to be able to see what's going on all the time. So you need a lot of control, and you need to be in control of what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay.
For the macro photography.
For the macro photography, are there remotes that allow you to shoot from a quite good distance? Let's say between 5 to 10 meters, so that the animal can come closer without being scared.
Well, I know that my principal CCAM is doing something great to work this out, but for me, sometimes the timer is always a good thing to have. And,
the timer?
Yeah, if you place it and hopefully get some distance away, or at least if the subject is confident enough, or should I say, less intimidated to be away by.
But is it actually a concept? Like, is it really a thing that you think, okay, it would be great if I could operate the camera from further away, because that would help to get a better shot?
I think that would be, because especially when you shoot stuff like the garden eels, when you want to come down, or you want to come.
Hey, but these guys already also recognize the camera.
Yeah.
So even if you leave your camera down a tripod, they're still not going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, in these cases, it's not only just being far out, but I think knowing the situations that you're in. Like if you go to the Philippines and you work with garden eels, and you know, at some places, as long as you step in and then disappear.
Yeah.
But in these places, as soon as you move away, they pop up. So it's, I always say nature is always unpredictable, but you just have to be prepared. And most importantly, improvise. If you think that you have a hunch, go with it. Because I always say, if you have a hunch and you don't go with it, I hate that voice when it says to you, when you're back in the room and it says, I told you so, innit?
You should have done it.
Yeah, you should have done that. And then you're like, damn it. And then the situation changes and everything just
Yeah.
And then bye-bye.
Who's this guy?
This is, when I first shot this was actually a deleted image. I would have thrown something out, but the recent years I discovered Photoshop, and I liked it because I could flip images, and I call this the flip. So with the flip, what I did was that I always enjoy cartoons, and that's a very big inspiration. So if you watch Marvel, the Red Skull?
The bad guy?
The bad guy.
Yeah,
So when I saw this was just a soft coral, which I split, and it has 2 eyes looking back at me. So I said, well, yeah. So the idea behind shooting differently or processing it differently is to give your audience a different view into the whole concept of underwater photography, because it's no longer just documentation. It's all about styling. It's all about being creative. It's all about having fun and inspiring the next shooter or generation of shooters.
Let's see if we can squeeze a practical answer out of you on the next one.
Yeah.
What would your setup look like for macro on a night dive?
Mine would be as simple as possible. Nothing looks like a Transformer coming out of a Transformer movie, but if I was going to do black water, then I would have the setup suited for that. If I was going to do reverse ring, I would have a single light, continuous light for it. As long as it, how do you put it? It enables me to work with the system or work with the subject instead of being an inconvenience to the environment, which I'm trying to protect, because sometimes, you get, So as simple as possible, but be objective oriented and have a goal. If you know what you're going to do, you know what the setups are you need it for, you get the image and you try to, not make any mess out of it.
Okay. Let's see. Tell us something about this one here.
That's a nice one.
Well, this one was also one of my favorite projects. It's the Pure series, I called it. It was maybe 13, 14 years ago. I was inspired by David Dublé, who is also a mentor of mine, and he did the ones with the nudie branch. And I remembered one time in ADEX a long time ago, a young guy with a whole bunch. I think Amos was there on that same table, and I said to David, I said, you know what? I want to try that stuff you did. And he said to me, till the time you do it, we'll talk about it.
Is that in the wild? Is that in the wild?
Yes, that's in the wild.
ocean?
So just like how you would practice black water and you go on a boat in the middle of the night, drop it into as deep as it is. Back then, we didn't have that lamp and we didn't thought about that. We had this thing with the fishermen were doing. They had this Petromax, they call it in Indonesia, where they pumped it. And for fishing, they put it at the back of the boat, and these little squids will come up because I think just like the same effect of how they're feeding. So they start doing that. So when they come up, me and my dive master Paulus would slide into the water slowly, try not to scare everything out. and I had another guy who's holding up this big plexi and some lights. And again, we had that slave going on. So I had one light at the back, two lights at the front, and we slowly tried to approach the subject and click it away.
Yeah.
But back then, that was a night dive for me. Yeah,
Wow.
but today, with the technique so beautiful and advanced, I think as soon as you remove this, it's black water. Yeah.
Very nice.
So this is
Very
the Pure
nice.
series.
So we're going to test you a little bit because we had this question before to
Sure.
other photographers. Everybody has their own answer and technique.
Oh.
What's your favorite solution for avoiding drops on your dome when shooting split shots?
I like this one. It's the easiest one. When I was doing it, I remembered some of my clients said, "Oh, you got to put Rain-X and all that." And I give
What
this
is it, Rain-X?
Rain-X, yeah. And I said, "You're putting chemicals into the ocean. You don't want
Yeah,
that." So I looked at
probably
them like that. I said, "You know what's the easiest one? It's just spit and polish. Spit on it,
That's
later
a good
it,
one. Yeah.
and that's it. And then you don't have drops at the side."
Did you hear about the potato trick?
Yeah.
Did you try that?
No.
We've just heard about this.
Yeah, but to me, it's whatever that's available. That's it. And
All
out of
natural.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Where's-
Aldabra. It's a very special place for me. It's the largest coral reef atoll in Seychelles, and some of the best people I've known has been there to shoot it. And when you're there, it's where I call the wildest and the most beautiful come together. And in this place, there's no need for what do you call it? Feeding. There's no
Baiting,
need for
yeah.
baiting. No, nothing. All you gotta do is just stand in the water and tap that water. And they come to you like 30, 40. And I remembered my wife was pregnant with Isabel, and she was not going to be in the water. And I remembered her screaming, telling me to get out of the water, but it's just too much fun because this is where my room was, and the sharks were right here.
Oh, that's amazing.
And you can't stop. So you get into the water, and this was in the evening time, and I was telling myself, well, what if we place one light right just at the top brim and one soft light at the side to get a little bit of a texture shot, and that what I wanted most was that gleaming on that top part. So so we did that, and we got it out, and I remembered sending out images, and Stefan Fring said to me, which pool are you in? I was like, no, I'm not. I'm out in Aldabra, and would you like the pictures? Like, yeah. Okay, so that was how some of this fun shots, I said. It was easy. It was no,
Yeah.
Yeah. What the? Okay. Yeah, I know.
We play this game,
Okay.
because you're such an all-rounder. We don't want to
You
miss...
didn't send me this on the email, though.
No, because
He
why
sneaks
would
this
I?
in at the end.
Yeah?
Why would I?
Okay.
Because this is the idea is that we look at pictures from other photographers,
Oh Lord.
and you gotta guess who's the photographer,
Oh Lord.
what's the animal,
Oh God.
and where is it shot.
Dear Lord. Okay.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also know nothing about it,
Yeah.
but I
know.
can also guess.
You would see how much of what I know.
Ah, this one is easy.
Jesus. Very scary. I've always said, oh, I like the slow shutter that's going on, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice. I don't know who it is, but I bet it's a very cracking shot. But, you know, sadly for me, I'm very disappointed
This is
with myself.
super unfair.
What?
Because this is probably not the environment you.
Yeah, that's why you picked it out. You know I would screw up
exactly.
right
You
there.
did this on
Give me a Harlequin shrimp or something. I was like, yeah, it's in lemon strain or something.
This is Alex Mustard. This is
I
Iceland.
knew something like that would come out, so... But yeah,
Is a cod.
it's a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
It's a perch, no?
Huh?
What is it?
A cod.
A-
A cod
A cod. Ah,
in Iceland. Yeah,
Nice.
super. Like, you know what Alex said?
What?
Alex said, you know, you can show me any underwater photo ever out there. I can tell you the name and where it's shot.
oh wow.
Yeah,
Did
we
he
didn't. We didn't have the time to test him on it. We're probably going to test
Yeah,
him on
please
Sunday.
do it. Let us know.
Yeah. Give me one of your most like really difficult photos, and then we try to.
No, mine's always fun. It's never difficult. This is difficult. This
Holy!
is
Hey, who's been selecting the photos? This is impossible.
This, yeah.
Oh well, from a distance you might get what animal it is.
yeah, it's a. I think it's a frogfish.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think this would be something of Andrew's. No.
Yeah, that's also correct.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Ah,
Wow.
Nice. Well
Not
played.
bad.
And then where is it shot then?
Oh
In
man.
Anilau, correct.
No. I think this is Iceland, right?
No. Okay.
Oh God. Kristen's.
Yes, I just wanted to say, if you look at the lineup and things like this,
Yeah.
could-
now I'm
could-
trying to,
could-
you know,
yeah, could
preempt
this is
myself.
Christian
like,
Wissel, that's
black and
right.
white, Christian Wiss.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
the place is
something creative, Alex Mustard. yeah.
Cabo Pulmo.
Yeah.
In Cabo Pulmo. Okay.
No more quiz.
Come on, one more.
Oh, come
You've
on.
been doing good, huh? You've been doing very good.
Yeah, to be fair,
Yeah.
you've done well.
Oh Jesus, what is it? Looks like what is it? Octopus. You sure? You want a helpline for this? No.
Yeah, that's blue ring.
Yeah, it is a
octopus.
blue ring. I think. Looks like a blue ring. Feels like a blue ring. It is a blue ring. Yeah.
And when you shoot macro, where do you go?
Me, I've always called Lembe home, but
Perfect,
Indonesia
that's correct.
is always one of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Evan
But I've never
Sherman
seen this
shot
before. I
it.
think. Never, no.
I think this one could be easy, especially because the signature is in the bottom right.
Wow. wow. This is really hard.
Amazing. Greg.
Yeah. This is really hard. Yeah. This is really hard. But
Greg
it's
the
a
girl.
beautiful shot.
This is a rotten banana.
Yeah. A very rotten one.
Okay. Cool. Imran,
Yes.
thanks a lot. It
Thank
was a
you for
pleasure
having me. It's
being
fun.
here. It would be cool. If anyone has a question, ask it now or
Yeah.
post your question in the live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got
have
a
live
few
stream questions?
Yeah, we have
Okay,
some
so go for
interesting
it.
stuff.
Oh Lord.
No, this will help us understand your creativity a bit better as
Oh
well.
Lord.
Like when we look at your style, it's very different.
Okay.
And you've been able to harness different understandings. For example, you were talking about insect photography.
Yeah.
Was the inspiration behind reverse macro and all that. So for the young photographers, the young videographers who want to get into these, they want to discover their style. In terms of the knowledge that's already around, where should they be looking?
You want to know
For
why?
like these
This is
technologies.
a very long question.
Like for example, you discovered reverse ring macro is something that's foreign to both of us, but it's something
There's
you
probably
knew.
a Facebook group for that, no? There's a Facebook
No.
group for everything.
No, everybody hates it that it's done.
You hide it. You hide it.
No, I've never hit it. But for anybody who wants to start, I always said, you have to understand a little bit of the cameras, and then that's the technical part of it. You start playing with it, understanding, and then here comes the second part, which is the aesthetic part of it. You see what's nice, and then when you're done with those, you put them together, and then you get into your own comfort zone, and that comfort zone will slowly develop into your own style. So to me, it's like how to understand what is the Dutch tilt in a shot. So I always like a tilt in a shot. So everybody's like, what the hell is that? But it takes your mind off it, instead
Yeah.
of just looking in straight like that.
Yeah.
So understand the technical part, the static, and then bring it together, and then you'll get your
And
style.
add your touch to it.
Yeah, and you
And-
just sprinkles.
And have a look at the Facebook groups that are there for everything.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
underwater photography.
It's a good resource.
There's even
yeah.
we even learned that there's a group for like bad underwater photography. Right?
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that Alex Tattersall
Yeah,
talking
he was
about it?
telling us, you
Yeah.
take your worst macro
Pictures.
shots and you put it up.
Yeah. I still have them though. It's on the bid.
Anything else?
Yeah, and the other interesting question is, we touched on it briefly in terms of exploring our own backyard, and we're both from Asia, so I can resonate with that.
Yeah.
So outside of the usual Asian dive sites that we know of, you have your Rajas and stuff, if you could promote another place in Asia, certain dive destinations that you've seen firsthand, that you want the rest of the world to see, where would you recommend?
Well, I think there's a lot of popular spots in the world. It's really hard to choose one per
Something
se.
that's not as known, as well known.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's a tough one.
That's a good
Yeah.
trick, right? I mean,
But I think I would like to see something coming out of maybe the UAE or those
Yeah, yeah.
areas, because you never seen stuff
You
out of
never
there.
do, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
so
drop
you're not
in and-
giving away your secrets?
No.
No.
Not
Okay,
yet.
sorry. Nice try.
Yeah, no, we had our
Any-
travel agent on hold just in case you were going to mention a good name so we could write it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Imran, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me, boys.
Thank you.
And everybody else. Thank you.
So that's it for now. At 3:30, it's like 45 minutes. We're going to sit here with one of the guys that had one of the photos right here with Christian Wissel and talk about artistic photography. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
Super nice. Super nice guy as well. So we're out and see you in 45 minutes.
Thank you so much. Yeah.